Before you start reading this, I'm going to ask you to go inside, preferably into the basement or a panic room. Even better if you have your own doomsday bunker, but I assume most of you do not. The thought of a personal bunker seems almost laughable now, given what's coming. I'm sure you won't, but don't worry about me. I am safe, as are most government employees, and it's your safety you need to be concerned about. The irony of this statement isn't lost on me. How many times have government officials told the public not to worry only for disaster to strike? It's a trope so common in disaster movies that I can almost hear the collective eye roll of everyone reading this. But this isn't a movie. This is real life, and the danger is very, very real. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. The uncertainty is perhaps the most terrifying part of all this. Assuming everything goes to plan, you'll be getting one of those alerts on your phone in an hour. I wasn't on the team that designed them, so I don't know exactly what they will look like, but it's probably similar to the false missile alert in Hawaii a few years back. I remember that day clearly, January 13th, 2018. The panic, the confusion, people running for shelter, saying goodbye to loved ones, all because of a simple human error. Little did we know that it was just a dress rehearsal for what was to come. A cosmic joke, if you will. The universe giving us a taste of the terror that awaited us. It'll probably just say, "Seek shelter," and then in another hour they will fully start to update the public with the details. Again, I don't work in communications. My job is more based around identifying threats, I guess you could say. My official title is actually National Risk Assessment Advisor, which is lucky for everyone reading this, because I can fill you in on what's actually going to happen over the next few days. The weight of this knowledge has been crushing me for years. It's almost a relief to finally share it, even if the circumstances are far from ideal. As I said, in an hour you'll get the official alert. I say official, but I bet there will be a million leaks, like the one you're reading right now. Doesn't matter. What matters is why. I'll start off by saying that no, it's not North Korea or Russia or China or Iran or any other rogue state launching their nukes. No, it's not the coronavirus or some sort of World War Z type shit. Although, to be fair, some sort of zombie virus doesn't sound much more unrealistic from the truth. I almost wish it was something so mundane, something we could understand, fight against. But what's coming? It's beyond our comprehension. You know, it's funny. As I sit here, typing out what might be humanity's last warning, I can't help but think about how we got here. How a series of well-intentioned decisions led us to the brink of, well, I'm not sure what exactly. Extinction? Subjugation? Transformation? I guess we'll find out soon enough. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. Or at least, what we think is the beginning. Ever since we as a species first came up with the idea that there could be extraterrestrial life, we've tried to initiate contact. Think of the Hubble telescope or the Voyager probe. So far, most of the attempts we've made have been unsuccessful. The silence of the universe has been deafening, leaving us to wonder if we truly are alone. Most. From 1999 to 2003, the first 10 cosmic call messages were sent. Each message was sent to a specific star system that could possibly hold alien life. These messages were supposed to arrive at their destinations between 2050 and 2060, so relatively close. It was a long shot. The chance of alien life being so close was incredibly unlikely. I remember when these messages were sent. I was just a kid then, dreaming of the stars, never imagining I'd be where I am now. I used to lay in my backyard staring up at the night sky, wondering if anyone was looking back, if only I had known. So you could imagine the surprise when we got a response in 2007. It wasn't much, but it did seem to come from the direction of the Cygnus star system, a radio signal that was first picked up on the ISS. From there, it went straight to the Pentagon and the Kremlin. But what was the signal? As I said, not much at all. It sounded like Morse code, except it didn't seem to mean anything. A few beeps, then silence. It wasn't much to go off. We'd had this before. Typically, it's just a rogue signal. That's what it was written off to at first. I remember the day it came in. I was just an intern then, fresh out of college with a degree in astrophysics and a minor in xenobiology, a field that was more science fiction than science at the time. The excitement in the office was palpable, even though most tried to downplay it. Just another false alarm, they said, but I could see the hope in their eyes. Dr. Elaine Stavros, my mentor at the time, pulled me aside that day. She was a brilliant woman, one of the leading minds in SETI. Her eyes were shining with a mix of excitement and fear. "Listen, kid," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This might be nothing. Probably is nothing. But on the off chance it's not... well, everything changes." I nodded, not fully understanding the weight of her words at the time. "What do you think it means, Dr. Stavros?" She shook her head, a wry smile on her face. "That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Could be a greeting, could be a warning. Hell, could be the alien equivalent of a wrong number." She chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "Whatever it is, our job is to figure it out. Little did we know we were about to get our chance until 2010 when we got another response. This time it was much more clear. Again, the ISS picked it up first. Nobody knows this, but on board the ISS, they actually have the most advanced signal interceptor known to man. Whenever we pick up something from space, whether it be from another satellite or rocket, or potential alien communication, they're the first to know about it. It's a closely guarded secret, one that I'm probably breaking several laws by revealing. But hey, given the circumstances, I don't think the NSA is going to come knocking on my door anytime soon. And if they do, well, they've got bigger problems to worry about. This time around, it wasn't beeps. It was more of a moving sound. It's hard to describe. Imagine the letter U in a sound form with the two sides being a high-pitched sound and the middle being low-pitched, like a siren. When I first heard it, it sent chills down my spine. There was something alien about it, something that didn't belong in our world. I remember the first time we played it in the lab. The room was dead silent, every ear straining to catch every nuance of the sound. Dr. Stavros was the first to speak after it ended. "Well," she said, her voice uncharacteristically shaky, "I think we can safely say that's not a wrong number." The tension broke and nervous laughter filled the room. But underneath the laughter, I could sense the fear, the realization that everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe was about to change. This was big news. In the mind of not only myself but most of my colleagues, and also presumably the Russians, this confirmed the hypothesis that we have come into contact with extraterrestrial life. Now we had to figure out what to do next. The debates were heated, to say the least. Some wanted to go public immediately, others wanted to keep it under wraps until we knew more. I was in the go public camp. I argued that the world had a right to know, that keeping this secret was tantamount to lying to the entire human race. Dr. Stavros, surprisingly, agreed with me. "If this goes south," she said during one particularly heated meeting, "we don't want to be the ones who kept humanity in the dark." But in the end, our arguments fell on deaf ears. After several meetings, we decided that this would be top secret. Nobody could know. Luckily, the Russians agreed. Next, we had to decide whether to respond. The weight of this decision was enormous. We were potentially speaking for all of humanity. Dr. Stavros and I were against it. We argued that we didn't know enough about who or what we were dealing with, that responding could be seen as an act of aggression, or worse, an invitation. "We're like ants sending a message to humans," I remember saying. "We have no idea of their capabilities, their intentions, or even their concept of communication. We could be inviting our own destruction." But the higher-ups were too excited by the prospect of first contact. The potential benefits, they argued, outweighed the risks. Unfortunately, we decided a response would be a good idea. Looking back, I wonder if this was our fatal mistake. When the first cosmic call signals were sent out, if received properly, they contained what was dubbed the Rosetta Stone. Essentially, it contained humanity. By that I mean it had everything alien life would need to comprehend us as a species. It contained math problems, music, some art, footage of people and audio clips of us, along with some photos of Earth. It was our way of saying, this is who we are. When we responded, we sent another version. Rosetta Stone Mark II. Not very creative, but it didn't really need to be, as it was just a fleshed-out version of the original. We spent months perfecting it, making sure it represented the best of humanity. If only we had known. The process of creating Rosetta Stone Mark II was intense. We had countless debates about what to include, what image of humanity we wanted to project. Should we show our conflicts, our wars, or only our achievements, our art, our love? In the end, we decided on a mix of both, hoping to present an honest but optimistic view of our species. I remember the day we finalized the contents. Dr. Stavros looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. "We're making history here, kid," she said. "Let's just hope it's the good kind." We sent it out into space in the same direction we received the signal from, and waited. The anticipation was unbearable. Would they respond? And if they did, what would they say? In 2013, we got a much stronger signal. This time it came in a very, very similar digital format to our Rosetta Stone. Not in the sense that it contained everything about some sort of alien life, more that it was transmitted the same way. It's kind of hard to explain, but imagine you have a USB drive with some photos on it and you want to send it to a friend who lives in another country. So, to get it to him, you mail it. It takes a while, but eventually he gets it. To respond, instead of calling or texting you, he mails you back another USB drive. Do you get it? Again, it's hard for me to explain, as I am pretty much tech illiterate when it comes to anything more advanced than a Word document. Anyway, the signal. This time, it was a photo. It was grainy and took a few weeks to touch up, but it seemed to show some sort of shuttle. It looked very similar to our NASA space shuttles, except much, much larger. It showed it just above the ground, presumably having just took off from some sort of runway. The implications were staggering. Not only had we made contact, but they were technologically advanced enough for interstellar travel. The day we finally got a clear image, the lab was in an uproar. People were shouting, crying, hugging each other. It was like a scene from a movie, the kind where humanity discovers it's not alone in the universe. Dr. Stavros was uncharacteristically quiet, staring at the image with an unreadable expression. "Dr. Stavros?" I asked, concerned. "What do you think?" She turned to me, her face pale. "I think," she said slowly, "that we've just opened Pandora's box. Trust me, you have no idea of the size of the shitstorm that image threw up. I don't think I left the Pentagon for a month. The debates were endless. What did this mean? Were they coming here? Were they friendly? Hostile?" The uncertainty was maddening. This time, we decided not to respond. It was too risky, we thought. We needed more information before we made any more moves. In 2019, we got another signal. Another photo. Taken from outer space, it seemed like an image of the star Sirius from the Canis Major constellation. We thought that this was impossible. The distance between the Cygnus solar system and Sirius was enormous, hundreds of light years. For a species to travel that far, in just a few years, was impossible. Any life form that could achieve that feat was far more advanced than we could ever imagine. The implications of this image were staggering. We're talking about a level of technology that's so advanced, it might as well be magic to us. Faster than light travel, manipulation of space-time itself, These were concepts straight out of science fiction, and yet here was evidence that they might be reality. Dr. Stavros, who had become increasingly withdrawn and paranoid over the years, had a complete breakdown when she saw the image. "Don't you see?" she screamed, her eyes wild. "They're showing us their capabilities. This isn't communication, it's intimidation." She was escorted out of the facility that day. I never saw her again. Rumors say she's in a secure facility somewhere, either for her own protection or to keep her from talking. Sometimes I wonder if she was right all along. It's been panic stations at work since then. The realization of just how outmatched we were hit hard. The government went into overdrive, preparing for every possible scenario. We've built massive underground tunnel networks and bunkers. Most countries have been notified. The thing is, when we got that message, we had no idea when they would arrive, or, more importantly, what they would do when they arrive. The uncertainty has been eating away at us. Every day, we've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know, it's funny. All those years of sci-fi movies, all those stories about alien invasions, none of them prepared us for this, the waiting, the not knowing. It's like we're all actors in some cosmic play, but nobody gave us the script. I've spent countless nights staring at the night sky, wondering what's out there, wondering if they're watching us right now. Are they studying us, planning their approach, or are they simply curious, like we were when we sent out those first messages? Sometimes, in my darker moments, I wonder if this is some sort of cosmic joke. Maybe there's some interdimensional TV show where alien beings watch as lesser species like us fumble our way through first contact. Maybe we're just the punchline in some universal comedy. But then I remember the responsibility we bear. We might be the first humans to make contact with an alien civilization. We might also be the last. The weight of that knowledge is, well, it's indescribable. Yesterday we saw them for the first time. Several shuttles, traveling in a formation. They got here in less than a year. A journey that should have taken centuries they made in months. The implications are terrifying. A few hours ago, we lost contact with the International Space Station, and since then it's been pretty quiet. The silence is deafening. We're all waiting, holding our breath for what comes next. If you're reading this, please hide. Do not leave your houses until the all clear is given. I have to go now. The alarms are sounding in the facility. Whatever's coming, it's here. May God help us all.